Let's get more perspectives on this developing story, and joining us via Zoom is an economist and the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, at the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Quartey, to give us his take on this particular story. Good evening, Prof. And let me start off by asking what you make of the choice of Dr. Kessie Forson as Finance Minister.
Good evening to you and to your discerning viewers. Yes, Honorable Forson comes to the table with a lot of rich experience. His educational background is also quite remarkable, given that he's a finance and tax expert and has been with the Finance Ministry as a Deputy Minister of Finance. So I think he's well versed in the area, and given the fact that he was the then minority leader, I mean, we can attest to his level of the depth of his knowledge. But having said that, I think he also ought to go to that ministry and consult the technical people that are there, also engage stakeholders, as well as any decision he takes should be informed by research. Otherwise, if he goes there with the typical business as usual, where we engage in policies that are not informed by data, not informed by research, then policy reversals and failures might recur. We don't want to revisit the case of the e-levy and all other policies that were not very successful because of lack of consultation, lack of research to back what this is. So, but I believe he has the technical know-how, he has the educational background and experience as well. But as I said, he needs to consult a bit more, consult widely in some of the decisions he might be taking.
Very well. Dr. Forson, we know, is not new to the ministry. He served as a deputy finance minister before. He served as ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament before. I'd wanted to pick your expectations from him and then also tie it into key priority areas that he should be looking at upon assumption of office.
Yeah, I mean, his work is cut out because we are under an IMF program. So the program documents, the targets, the triggers, all of them are there for him to follow. He has to follow this diligently. Once he does that, I am sure we'll be able to stabilize the economy. Once he follows it diligently, we'll be able to grow the economy. At the moment, growth rate is quite encouraging, and he'll be able to sustain the growth momentum and thereby be able to improve livelihood. So he has to follow the IMF program diligently. Without delay or any deviation whatsoever. And then the budget has to be read. At the moment, we just have a 3-month budget, but he has to come out with a next major budget statement. A lot of the campaign promises has to be translated into action. So I expect that in that budget statement, steps to eliminate some of the taxes. They said they're going to eliminate e-levy, going to scrap betting tax, and also formalize the tax system. I think we have too many taxes that are not harmonized. At the moment, our VAT rate is 21% plus something else. I mean, we are above the threshold, as you find in other countries. The average in Africa is around 15 to 18%. We are around 21%, and they are not really harmonized. There are a lot of import duties or taxes at the port, and I believe Ghanaians voted for the NDC because of the promise to harmonize taxes and to eliminate some of these taxes. So he has to keep the ground running and ensure that some of these taxes are removed or reduced. But in so doing, he should be guided by the fact that we are under IMF program. Our revenue GDP ratio has to be within a certain threshold. And therefore, whatever he takes out, he has to find a way of enhancing revenue so we don't miss the targets or triggers that have been set. We know there's debt restructuring that is also not concluded. Once that is concluded, other donors will come on board. I'm talking of bilateral donors and also multilateral donors. will come on board to support government's policies and programs. So the debt restructuring, so I expect to see more on that front. And also to ensure that we go ahead and legislate debt ceiling, because we don't want to borrow beyond threshold and later face debt exchange and all the painful experience we went through in the past. Lately, there's rising inflation. The past 3 months or so have seen inflation picking up. So he has to tackle inflation head-on, and food inflation especially, because of the reliance on rain-fed agriculture. Anytime rains fail in the northern part or other parts of the country, agriculture production slows down, and we are not able to produce. And inflation inches up. So we have to tackle agriculture, find ways of supporting the value chain, more especially irrigation.
Right.
We haven't done well at all when it comes to irrigated agriculture. And then lastly, but not the least, is the issue of energy sector debt.
Right.
That to be tackled and make ECG more efficient in revenue mobilization.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Quartey. Always a pleasure talking to you. Grateful. Professor Peter Quartey is an economist and the director of the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana, Legon, speaking to us there regarding the nominations by the President, John Dramani Mahama, for ministerial positions. 3 of them, Dr. Kesiel Atuforsen as Minister-Designate for Finance, John Jinapo, Minister-Designate for Energy, and Dr. Dominic Ayene as Attorney General and Minister-Designate for Justice.